officer is patrolling the streets of Los Angeles. He realized that he was being followed. When he turned around, he was greeted by someone unexpected, longing for a home. This story takes place in the famous city of Los Angeles, well known for being one of the most populated cities in the United States. This population extends not only to humans, but also to animals. In fact, it is quite common to see dogs with their owners walking around the area. Dogs are loved by many for their loyalty and charming appearance. They have been one of mankind's companions for the longest time. Not only are they good for hunting, but they are also adaptable enough to fit into a domestic-only setting. In the streets of Los Angeles, there was a dog that wandered around, hoping to one day find someone to take him home. In this bustling city is the Los Angeles Police Department, often recognized by its shortened term, the LAPD. One particular police officer, Officer Mercado, had no idea how eventful his day was going to become. In fact, he would soon make a choice that would change his life forever. When Officer Mercado first left the LAPD building to carry out his patrolling shift, he didn't expect much more than a regular day. He was joined by his team member, Officer Tavera, on that early sunny morning. The two officers drove around in their police car, and their shift appeared to be an easy one so far since they hadn't run into much trouble. However, things changed once they neared Hobart Boulevard. Both officers exited their car and walked around the quiet neighborhood for some time. It took a while for them to realize that something had caught Mercado's attention and was now following him around. After a few minutes of wandering, the police officer turned around and was surprised. But it was a very pleasant surprise. No more than a few inches away from his feet was a puppy. A small, helpless, but seemingly happy puppy. He fell in love with the little animal in an instant. Officer Mercado raised his head to look around the area, curious as to whom the puppy could have belonged to, but there was no one else there. Mercado was hit with a small wave of disappointment. The puppy was alone, so who was looking after it? The pup had a lot of energy and seemed to be in the mood to play. As Officer Mercado began to walk up and down the street, the puppy followed him around. The little animal was diligent. Mercado knelt, watching his new companion with amusement. Officer Mercado's patrol partner, Officer Tavera, admired the sweet interaction. It's not often that people find animals following them around. Tavera took out her phone, watching the pair while recording a video. She also snapped a few pictures before sharing them on the internet through the LAPD's social media accounts. There are upsides to every job, and meeting cute strangers in the form of little animals seemed to be one of theirs. Both police officers wanted to give this little guy a name. They decided to name him after the street where he was found, Hobart. In the video, which was posted on the LAPD's Twitter account, you can see the small creature running after Officer Mercado. Officer Tavera's voice can be heard as she calls out to the pup, using their new name for him. The officers couldn't leave Hobart by himself. There was no one else in the area, and it was clear the pup had formed an attachment to them. They felt responsible for the poor thing, so they guided the puppy into their car. Even though the officers had only just met Hobart, the little guy already seemed to trust them. Hobart jumped into the front seat as if sitting in their car was something he had done many times before. Once they ensured Hobart's safety, the officers headed toward the police station and began to check for the puppy's owners. However, they were soon disheartened to find that the lonely pup wasn't lost. He once had owners, but they no longer wanted to care for him. Hobart had been abandoned. Unfortunately, animal homelessness is a big problem in the U.S. Approximately 70 million stray animals are living in the U.S., but only a small percentage end up being put into shelters. Most are left to fend for themselves on the streets. Hobart was one of the many lucky animals found and placed into a shelter. Although this didn't necessarily solve the problem of finding him a home, being cared for in a shelter was better than being neglected as a stray. Although it was a tough decision, the officers knew giving him up to a local rescue shelter was the best thing for Hobart. They drove him to the Ghetto Rescue Foundation. The journey to the place was short. The Ghetto Rescue was quickly charmed by the puppy's sweet nature. In one of their updates, they made a statement about Hobart. He's the most loving and lively puppy. He loves all of his puppy cousins and will chew on his toys for hours. He's still learning potty training and loves the outdoors and playtime in the grass. Officer Mercado hated being separated from Hobart. They hadn't spent much time together, but he had already grown fond of the pup. When he found out that no one would be coming to help Hobart, he felt both disappointed and excited. The solution was clear to him. He was going to be the one to look after Hobart. This adoption made a lot of people happy, and the little dog looked especially pleased to be reunited with the police officer. Hobart followed Officer Mercado around as if he had chosen the man to be his new father. After Hobart was officially adopted, he basically became part of Mercado's family. Because of this, the officer wanted to share his new family member with his colleagues. It didn't take long for all of the LAPD to fall in love with the puppy. It is common to hear about animals joining workforces as either mascots or emotional support. The police department even joked about the little guy becoming part of their canine unit in a Twitter post. "Welcome to LAPD, Hobart," they said at the end of the post. As previously mentioned, people are quite fond of dogs, but this is especially true when it comes to the police force. These animals are easy to train and have very sensitive noses, making them effective at searching for specific scents or substances. However, not all dogs have evolved in the same way, and some breeds, like German Shepherds, are preferred. It's unlikely to see little dogs like Hobart trained to become part of a canine unit. Nevertheless, it is not impossible. Due to the circulatory nature of social media, thousands of people who saw the pictures of Hobart and Officer Mercado became curious about what happened to the dog after the pictures were taken. The LAPD noticed this attention and uploaded another post on Facebook, updating their followers about the police officer and his new puppy. Update on Hobart. A lot of you have been asking what Hobart is up to these days. You'll be happy to know Officer Mercado has adopted him, and he is now living the good life with Mercado and his family. The popularity of the story can be attributed to both Hobart and Officer Mercado. Alongside praise for the police officer's selfless heart, many Twitter accounts also shared their appreciation for his handsome appearance. Officer Mercado seems to be one of those types of people who is beautiful both inside and out. Fortunately for little Hobart, a random encounter ended with him finding his forever home. Although most people love the idea of having a pet, the responsibility that comes with it can be quite tough. Nevertheless, Officer Mercado believed this responsibility to be worth it. Hopefully, more people will choose to go down the path of adopting pets from animal shelters rather than buying them. There are so many adorable and kind-hearted dogs in shelters that deserve a better life, just like Hobart. If this story touched your heart, leave a like or a comment to let me know what you thought of it. I hope to see you again in the next video.